Hi, I'm Margaret Ann, and I'm here tonight with you to share with you the Gemstone Oracle. Man, this is something that is, I feel like a gift from the heavens, my realizations in regard to this. So once upon a time, a long time ago, when I first opened the store, actually. So I'm here in my store, the Crystal Garden in the Angel Room, which has turned into our studio for filming, me as an author, and also our Shop the Crystal Garden from Home shows. These are shopping shows. It used to be our classroom, and it still sort of is because I'm in here teaching, and that's a class, right? But many moons ago, when I first opened the store, and for many years into the future, people would come into the store, and this is like starting to tell a little ditty or a little joke. A man walked into a bar. In this case, a woman walked into the Crystal Garden, and she asked, and they all asked different questions. All men, women, doesn't matter. Things like, um, I need a rock for to get a new boyfriend, or I need a rock because I need to get have a better job. I want a better career. I need a rock because of um, I'm so stressed, or I'm grieving, or so many different reasons. All the different reasons that we have in life that we need help. And so, in the early days of the Crystal Garden, I used to say to people, well, you know, maybe you can consider this rock or that rock, or we'd look it up in a book, that kind of thing. But as time went on, not that far into not too far into it, I realized, this, I want to empower people to pick out their own gemstones. So I would say to them, go, and we still do this to this day, go look around, see which gemstones you are attracted to. And then when you're done, bring them all up to the front desk and I'll tell you what they're good for. And this is before we used to put little stone signs in the bowls. We have information in each of our bowls of gems. And so they'd come up to the desk and they'd put the little pile of, rocks or whatever lined up. And I'd say, oh, that's interesting. This is good for that. This is good for this. This is good for that. This is a good stone that helps you with blah, blah, blah. And so they would say, wow, Margaret, you're so psychic. Like, we're all very intuitive. But these gemstones are telling me a story. This lineup is telling me a story. So what you're seeing here on the screen is my original gemstone oracle. When I started doing private counseling, back when I first was ordained as a minister, this was my main tool. Sometimes I'd use a tarot deck, Voyager Tarot, James Wanless's deck. Um, but mostly I use my gemstone oracle, and I tell people pick 7 stones and put them in the order in which you pick them, so I could, maybe give you some insights on what maybe is going on. So as time went on, my counseling sessions, I would actually always start with that, even if it wasn't that type of a session, just to get things relaxed, people relaxed. It helps people that way too. And it's fun. Who doesn't like to look at and touch pretty rocks? I think it's fun anyway. So here's an example of a 7 rock spread. And so the way that I'm going to teach and share with you tonight is to explain, if you were to pick this lineup, what it could mean. Because it's also energy when somebody's sitting in front of you and they're pick the rocks. You're also picking up their telepathic vibrations along with the meanings of the gemstones. So generally speaking, so this stone number 1 is a desert rose or a selenite rose. The second stone is an orange calcite chunk. The third stone is a piece of rose quartz tumbled. The fourth stone is an amethyst heart. The fifth stone is an angelite. The sixth is a citrine, and the clear quartz, the seventh stone is a clear quartz point. So what I would say for this is, the selenite rose, and even before I even start, pause and think of something that you want insights on and see if any answers come through with whatever comes out of my mouth right now, okay? Okay, think of something that you want clarity on. Okay, hopefully you thought of something, an area of life. It doesn't have to be super specific. Okay, so the Selenite Rose is a reminder that miracles are available to you. Remember that you can bring forth higher consciousness through focused intention and that it will bloom. You will bloom to a higher level of awareness. The orange calcite, if someone picks that, generally is indicating that they're going through some kind of a change and that it's affecting them emotionally. And because there's also rose quartz in here, it may be that they're having a change of heart or a change in regard to their relationship, because the rose quartz is associated with the heart chakra. And that also could indicate that they maybe want to change the way they feel love or allow love into their life. The amethyst heart, they're ready to transform certain situations. They're ready for transforming their heartfelt desires. The fifth stone, the Angelite, could easily indicate that angels are trying to bring messages through, and the angels are actually sending you signs and symbols. And in fact, that's also the selenite is very angelic as well. That first stone, that rose, it's a desert rose. And to hear, sense, feel, know that the messages are available to you. And oh, and it might be that this, I might even ask the client, are you having, getting ready to either shift something in a personal relationship? It doesn't have to be romantic, but that maybe you need more confidence to speak up for yourself, the citrine. Because the citrine right next to the angelite to me would be like an indication that there's some feeling of needing to be able to feel courageous or confidence, have a high enough self esteem to get to the point, to say what it needs to be said, get to the point, the clear quartz point on the end of this, number seven. So there's like the vibration of a change of heart, but also that ready to transform into a higher level of awareness. So it's not necessarily a negative thing. Sometimes people think a change is negative, but it's like to bring things to the next level. And through good communication and having the confidence to set boundaries and establish personal power with love and kindness and grace. All right, that's my story. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so this one is, I'll tell you the stones first. So number one is a Larimar. Number two is a chrysoprase. Number three is Caribbean blue calcite. Number four is sodalite. Number five is apophyllite. Number six is selenite in a different form. That's a selenite chunk. And then number seven is amethyst in a different form. That's an amethyst tumbled stone. So at first glance, the look of this in general is showing me that that there is probably some need to express oneself and that they want peace in communications, peaceful communications. Larimar, number one, is a very good stone for helping with telepathic communication, mind to mind and heart to heart, using feelings, words, and pictures, being able to communicate telepathically. And Larimar is also a throat chakra stone, as is well, chrysoprase number two. Chrysoprase could be either a heart center, heart chakra stone, but also it's a kind of a seafoam green. I would probably have that as a heart or throat. So this is communication. And then this blue Caribbean blue calcite may even I might ask the client something along the lines of, when was the last time you went to the seashore, to the beach, to spend time maybe by a lake, to have time, especially because of both the blue calcite as well as the Larimar. That's indicating, being in nature near water to bring more peace and serenity. And then number four, which is sodalite, is also a good stone for meditation and for feeling calm, for so calming down any kind of agitation. So you could pose a question when you're doing an oracle session where you might say, are you feeling the need to be like, are you feeling agitated and need to calm down? Is this, I'm seeing all these blue stones here, and this is showing me that maybe you're feeling like you need more peaceful surroundings around you. Or, and then you'd be surprised. You ask certain questions that you're perceiving based on the stones that are chosen, and I'm always still amazed that they say, "Oh my gosh, how do you know that?" It's like, well, it looks that way to me. Now, apophyllite, number 5, is about meditation, staying focused. That's, I always think of that stone as a unicorn horn. You put it on your third eye during meditation, is very effective. But it's for gaining clarity and connecting with the divine, as is number 6, which is a selenite chunk. In this case, it's a chunk. It comes in many forms. And so this shows me that meditation would be very important for whoever picked this series, taking time to be quiet and away from the hustle and bustle. And that number 7, amethyst, they're ready to transform and transmute anything that isn't peace and calm. So it needs to be transformed to bring peace in their life. So that's that. So far, I hope you're liking this. I find it interesting. Let's see. So because and I'm going to talk more about this next week during the Oracle card workshop next Tuesday, starting at 6. But what evolved from having a pile of rocks, I started writing articles about the Gemstone Oracle, and it's like even one of my publishers noticed an article that I had written in a industry magazine. It's called, at the time it was called New Age Retailer, but it's Retail Insights now. And they that brought note, like a publisher even noticed and said, that's really a great concept. What can we do with that? And I had just started creating my deck, that my first deck. And so what I did was, instead of somebody having to buy all those rocks that you saw in this picture, which we'll go back to. So if you have that many rocks, that's thousands of dollars of rocks, because you can't tell, but there's a lot of rocks in there, and there's some that are very pricey. So to make it more affordable for people, I realized if I created a deck and I created it with 44 cards, two-sided, lots of information right on the card, then what this also created was a teaching tool for gemstone identification, to understand some of the meanings of the stones. That always have a question for contemplative thought, because when I'm doing a session with the 7 gemstone spread, I always ask the customer or client a question, because I'm not doing fortune telling when I do this work. I'm asking questions for them to contemplate and for us to discuss, so they get an aha moment, they get clarity on things. And that's the whole point. We'll talk about that more when we go through some of those cards next week. Okay, so here's another 7 rock spread. So in this one, the number 1 is an agate geode. Number 2 is a rainbow moonstone. Number 3 is scolasite. Number 4 is a blue calcite. Number 5 is a fluorite octahedron. Number 6 is a howlite heart. And number 7 is an orange calcite angel. So I am going to say, overall, whoever would have chosen this series could indicate. I'm going to start backwards here and say that because that there's an orange calcite angel, that would show me that the angel of change is nearby, and that you, to remind whoever this was for, whoever pulled these gemstones, that that there's always help from the angelic realm when you're going through changes. Let's go back to the rock number 1, which is an agate geode. So with agate geodes, to me, that could indicate that there's some grounding that's needed, some to get grounded, connect with the earth, connect with nature spirits, the Davic forces of, maybe a little gardening, a little barefoot gardening. I'm very much about barefoot gardening. I'm always outside in my garden in bare feet. And it's very grounding and it helps because I'm often in my head with the consciousness of, getting information to write about or to share ideas and such. So it's very grounding and helpful. So I stay grounded in this reality on Mother Earth. The rainbow moonstone would show me that there's some reflection of things that are going on, like to observe what's being reflected back at me or to me, not at, but to me. And to note that what I see in front of me could be an aspect of myself, even the stuff that I don't love, even the things that I observe that I'm not loving, to take that and to contemplate how that might relate to me personally. Moonstone, when it appears in a spread, also has a lot as a reminder to connect with the cycles of the moon, to take note of when there's a full moon and a new moon. Maybe even just to connect that there is a moon, that there's a moon up there, and connect that with that energy of the divine feminine is what that's a lot of that is about, is the divine feminine and the receptive nature. We're all very receptive, we're all very empathic and intuitive, and we often don't realize it and find and get frustrated or agitated. So this is what I recommend is meditation for that, and to also call on the angels. So that angel on this that shows up in this spread is a reminder that angels can help you during all these different kinds of aspects of life. The scolecite is also one on the wings of angels. That's an angelic stone to remind you of you have legions of angels available to you. And remember that angels need to be asked to assist. They're not able to just intervene without your request. We are beings of free will. We have free will. We can do whatever we want, and perhaps we need a little extra help or guidance. So the angelic realm needs to be requested to assist. The blue calcite, um, for me, when I'm attracted to wanting blue calcite near me, number four, it may be a reminder to watch the tone of my voice and how I share what I have to say, and to maybe shift it so that it's softer and that's more melodic, and it can help people better and help myself better as well. And it can be received because it's a chunk and not a tumble stone, like not smooth. I might ask the person who picked this series of stones, are you having a rough time of explaining what you need to say? Are you having a rough time of uh, being able to express yourself? So number five, the fluoride, I might suggest, well, you might want to get focused because this fluoride in octahedron format is very good about focusing on connecting with the sky above and the earth beneath your feet, getting that connection with Mother Earth and Father Sky. With focus, you can gain the clarity that you need to move into an easier way of explaining yourself or communication. The number six, the Howlite heart, that's about purification. So I would ask the client to contemplate what part of their heart chakra, may need some purification, what needs to be cleared, what needs to be detoxified and cleared out. And then I already explained number seven, the orange calcite angel. Interesting, right? Interesting interpretations. So this one, I'll go through which each of the stones are. Number one is a carnelian. Number two is a citrine. Number three is a ruby and zoisite. Number four is a malachite. Number five is Kemba Jasper, heart. Number six is blue lace agate. And number seven is a pink calcite, tumbled stone. So sometimes what I like to do when I see a series of stones, instead of interpreting each one individually, what I'd like to see is there's something that's consistent that shows me something here. And one of the things that I see here are that number four, five, six, and seven, malachite, Kemba Jasper, the blue lace agate, and the mangano, pink calcite, all have a pattern in them. They all have a design pattern. So my first question to the client, or whoever, maybe even to myself, if I pulled these rocks, which I did, I pulled all these for you, not knowing what I was going to say. But in this case, I'd say, is there a pattern in your life that you would like to shift, observe, be clearer about, embrace more fully? It doesn't have to be a negative thing, the pattern. It might be, but it doesn't have to be. So it's just like, well, what is the pattern? What is it that you are trying to gain clarity on? So with courage and confidence, courage and action, number one, carnelian, and confidence and self-esteem, number two, citrine, you can move forward, perhaps into a more loving relationship, number three, ruby and fuchsite, and allow yourself to delve into the patterns that you've had in relationships. Perhaps it's about relationships, because we do have one, two, three, four of them are heart chakra stones. The number three is ruby and fuchsite. That's a heart chakra stone. Number four, the malachite, heart chakra. Number five, Kemba Jasper, heart chakra. And number seven, pink calcite. So you can also look at these like the chakras, which in my first book, Chakra Awakening, you can read a lot about that and gain a lot more insight. Plus, I've taught a lot of workshops that you can see on YouTube about the chakras. So number one being, that's an orange calcite. I would consider that more of a navel, or also known as sacral chakra. So that's also about our sensuality, and also our taking action, creating, giving birth to something, having been fertile with great ideas, and having the confidence, number two, to bring that to fruition. So maybe even to be all that you can be in a relationship, number three, that's ruby and fuchsite, or how your relationship with yourself even. And number four, to observe what patterns you've had perhaps in relationships that you are the ones that you want to keep, and maybe some that you don't want to bring into the next relationship, or that you want to heal in the existing relationship. Number five, Kemba Jasper, this heart, so it's heart shaped, so that's an indication right there. But then also those stromatolites that are the blue algae circles in there, that might have to do with like ancient or old information stored in your own consciousness, to help you remember your the love that you are, the truth that you are, that you've brought forth through many lifetimes, to bring it all the way through to the current day, and to bring that back to the point that you can see, know, feel, and remember the love that you truly are. Number six, which is the blue lace agate, is a really a beautiful stone for remembering the patterns of various ways of communication. Sometimes it's the shift in the tone of the voice, sometimes it's through music, perhaps it's some other kind of sounds, but either way, it also could even be about how good of a listener you are. Are you really hearing when other people are speaking, or are you finishing their sentences before they finish talking? It's like being mindful in that regard. And then the pink calcite, as pink calcite often has to do also with a change of heart, but also just self-love, self-nurturing, care for oneself. So I might ask the client something along the lines of, have you been good to yourself lately? Have you taken care of yourself? So that's that story. I hope that made sense. Okay, so here's another seven rock spread. So I'm not going to say anything right away. I'm going to take a sip of my water. I'm going to have you look at that and see what feelings come up right away. So did you notice that there's more pointed energy, a little bit darker energy in this particular one? Doesn't have to be negative, but it might be a little bit, could be. Not that there's something bad happening to the person, but more that maybe the person is feeling attacked. Number one is a black obsidian arrowhead. Number two is, I don't know what kind of gemstone, maybe flint, arrowhead. Number three is ruby. Number four is an amethyst point, but notice I put it pointing down in this case just to make it show different ways, that because people put things down, they pick their rocks out of the pile of gemstones, and then I kind of leave them the way they place them, although I ask them to do it in the order in which they pick them so that I can see if there's a pattern even arising from what they were first attracted to versus the grand finale, what the ultimate answer might be. But this one has the amethyst pointing down, and then that green calcite is not a tumble stone, but a rough green calcite. Number 6 is rose quartz, and number 7 is black tourmaline. And it's a nice piece of black tourmaline, actually. So no, so the first thing is that maybe this person is feeling attacked. Maybe they're not feeling safe. So I might even ask them that question. Are you feeling safe and sound? Do you feel like you have like your support systems around you are good? Do you have plenty of friends in your circle? Do you need some help in some other way? Just in case, you know. Uh, but they may have people, we all go through, I think, times in our life where we feel like we're being attacked or that um, that things are being sent, negative energy might be being sent to us. The ruby might have to do with needing more vitality, needing more energy in life. Usually, if someone picks a ruby, they're either very passionate about life, which is very possible, and or they could also mean that they need more passion, they need more vitality. So it's a jumping off point for a conversation with a client. The amethyst number 4 is a amethyst point. So being right in the middle of the spread, number 4 is the center of the spread. I look at that as an indication that they really need to transform and transmute a challenging situation. And I would ask that question, do you need to change some situation that is not for your highest good? And often the answer is yes in the case. And also often if somebody's coming for counseling and assistance, they may be having a hard time of life. Number 5, the green calcite next to the rose quartz, the right number 6, those are heart chakra stones. So my recommendation would be to them to go ahead and put all of their attention and all of their love, all of their attention on love, on loving themselves, on self-care, and doing what it takes for them to remember how wonderful they are and all the blessings they have in their life to counteract some of this other energy. The final black tourmaline, number 7, is they may need to take some protective measures. That's the stone that I often recommend for people to get themselves a good piece of black tourmaline or a couple of pieces of black tourmaline. It doesn't have to be in that form, to deflect negativity and to remember that you are safe and sound, and do what it takes to make it so. Get yourself out of situations if you feel like you're getting attacked or stabbed all the time, so to speak, not literally, hopefully. Then shift away from that, move into another circle. It's better to be with a lot less friends than having a lot of friends that aren't being nice. I'll just say that. Okay, I think this might be the last spread for this evening. So let's see. How we doing on time? We're doing good. Yes, we are. So this final spread, look at that. I chose carnelian twice in this one. People do that. And they'll choose sometimes the same stone and it's just in different formats. One might be rough, one might be tumbled, one might be a point, but it's all the same rock, just in different forms. So the first look at this, I'll tell you what the stones on first. Number 1 is carnelian. Number 2 is a larimar. Number 3 is a carnelian. Number 4 is an agate geode. Number 5 is citrine. Number 6 is a turquoise. And number 7 is an apophyllite. Apophyllite is out of Pune, India. That's an apophyllite tip or point. First look, I would probably say to them, are you an artist? Do you like to do different kinds of art? Because this looks like the spread of an artist. The orange and the pink and the turquoise, the carnelian, the larimar, and the turquoise right away makes me think of someone who is into artwork. Even people that dress in these colors, I think that they're artists. And a lot of times I've asked that in situations if it's appropriate. It's like, oh, you look like an artist. Do you do like to do what's your medium? What art type of art do you do? And they always are artists when I've said that. So far so good. Because you can also tell by the clothes, the color of people's clothes that they wear. that you'd be surprised how much you can tell by the clothing and accessories that people have on their body. So the orange, I already explained about the carnelian 1 and 3 and the Larimar. Now this agate geode in the middle. So that would also, I would probably ask my client if they need to spend time out in nature. Remember, we had a different geode earlier, and that perhaps they need to connect with nature spirits and nature. Maybe they're always indoors or whatever. Even that citrine right next to it, that would give them more courage and confidence in their life if they were in the sun a little bit. You know, we don't need to go out and be sunbathers, but being sunlight is important. So that's what comes to mind when I see that. Turquoise and the Larimar, number 2 and number 6. 2 is Larimar, 6 is turquoise. These two would have to do with communication, expressing oneself, and maybe they need to express themselves through art or crafts or whatever their medium is. It could be music. There's so many different ways. Dance. And number 7, the apophyllite, is to remember to connect with the divine. Remember that we all are aligned with the divine, and to uh, remember that spark of the divine within and allow great ideas and great inspiration to come through and be grounded. Carnelian, number 1, 3, and grounded, number 4. So ground that vision, that information as it comes through. And then the 2 and the 6, the Larimar and the turquoise, that's bringing out and making the beautiful artwork and showing a beautiful display that satisfies the soul of the artist, but also whoever that is receiving it, whether it is music or painting or dance, however it's being received. Okay, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. How we do? I think that's it. That is. So I hope that made sense, because when I share that, I kind of go on this like tangent. So hopefully it all made sense. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to go right into doing our Facebook Live. I'm going to end this particular event, and then we'll go on to having a Facebook Live event for the show tonight, in which quite a few of those gemstones that we just talked about are on the table. Next week, we're going to have a guided meditation. So that's my new thing. If you want to join in on Tuesdays, I'm going to start the guided meditation at 5:45, and I'll just see what comes in the moment. I used to do that every Monday for many moons here at the Crystal Garden. So now we'll do it virtually, and that works. Just 10-15 minutes of clearing the mind, quieting the mind, and then go right into next week's workshop, which is Oracle cards for realizations. So we'll definitely go over all my Oracle cards, but I'll try to pull a few other of my fellow authors' cards and make it part of the presentation too. Thank you so much for watching. Much love and many blessings to all of you. Have a good night.